All right, am I live? Let's see here. Are we here? All right, we got one person here. I think we're here. Let me look. Let's see. Divine. Yes, it works. Woohoo! Awesome. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Dr. Charnel Wolverton. I am with Swiftfire. And today we're going to be talking about gratitude. The science of it, which is kind of cool. I'm really excited. Let me get this straight. Let me make sure. 4th time's a charm, yes. Did this like 3 or 4 times and it was freezing up, so I'm really glad that it works. So let's get right into it because we got a lot of things to unpack here. Gratitude, by definition, comes from the Latin word gratus, which means pleasing or thankful. And I love gratitude, and it's been a real season for me to learn more about gratitude and how this affects your body and your biofield and your whole life, actually. If you're interested in understanding a little bit more in sowing and reaping and the science behind that, this would be, I have a video on that in my YouTube, and it would be a really good partner class for you. It's a really short version, maybe 10 minutes or less, and it's on my YouTube. But whatever we are is what we get. And so on a spiritual level, of course, we think of gratitude because of gratitude to God or gratitude for your family, and just the act of having gratitude is an act of worship. And you can look in Psalms 30:12 and Psalms 9:1, where the scriptures talk about, I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. Whole heart is really, really key here. So gratitude on a business level or a behavior level is a whole different thing. They've done numerous studies where people, like with customer service or in marriages or in families or with children, have done different research studies. And one that I wanted to speak about specifically was a jewelry company had basically sent a telephone call out to all of the customers, just thanking them for being a part of their group and their family and their business. And they had 70% increase in their sales. There was another group that sent out a telephone call about a sale going on within their group, and they had 30% sales. And then there was another group of people that didn't do any calls, and they had no sales. So you can apply this to your family, to your marriage, to your children, to your business, whatever spiritually your practices. But when there is gratitude, there is a science, and there's a reaping and sowing behind that. Part of that is because your limbic system, which this is your frontal lobe, and right behind that is your limbic system, and anything that you give, your brain can't tell the difference between me or you. And it can't tell the difference between the past, the present, and the future. And so anything that we give, whether that's gratitude or judgment or thanks or love, anything that we give, as we give that with our mind and with our body, or any kind of actual gift giving, your brain will register that as you've given it to yourself first. And so there are hormones and different chemistry things that come with that. Oxytocin is one of the #1 hormones as for bonding, and that's oftentimes associated with gratitude. It's associated with a lot of other things too, but I think it's interesting that when we give, whether it's criticism or judgment or something positive like gratefulness and gratitude, then your brain actually associates it with receiving that first through your brain and through your body, and then you have a chemical response, and then other people will receive it. So it's really, really important what we're giving, what we're thinking about. Thanksgiving is huge. So, and of course we have Thanksgiving coming up. Let's talk about the biofield and how it registers in the biofield. And again, you can go to My Divine Science in the Human Body, and you can go to my YouTube, and there are tons more videos on each of these subjects that will give a lot more in depth. But your heart is electric, and your whole body is electric. Matter of fact, we have a whole electric system in our body, and it's almost like trees in the body. And then there's another whole system of dendrites of trees in the brain, and they're all connected to the nervous system and to the whole body. Now, everything that we think and feel, you know, it says in scriptures, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Everything that we think and feel has a sound and a vibration. And when we feel those things or think those things or both, that sound or code or frequency resonates in the heart, and this electric heart makes a sound. And that sound or vibration goes throughout the whole body into the cells and affects the entire body, and then it actually goes into the biofield, which is this field that's outside of us. And so we can only receive what we are. And so if we have a sound of love, then we get love back. If we have a sound of gratitude, then we get gratitude back. If we have a sound of criticism, we get criticism back. If we have judgment, we get judgment back. So everything has a sound. All words have a sound. Music has a sound. We are a vibration. We are sound. Scriptures talk about we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And that word wrestle actually means we vibrate not against flesh and blood, but we vibrate and we have a sound. When God spoke the earth into existence, he said, let there be light. Light is a frequency. Light is a sound. And he is the Father of lights, and we are his children, a multiplication of light. And so everything that we think, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, we talked about. And so when we're thinking about things and feeling things, it's really, really important that we make sure we're taking captive every thought and really making everything obedient to what lines up with the truth and what God is. I have a whole video on perception too, and that would be a good one for you to check out. But when we have gratitude, and when we think about gratitude, and when we practice having gratitude or a grateful, F-U-L-L heart, then that gratitude actually produces the chemicals in the brain, which give us a little happy, but also that sound goes throughout the body into the biofield, and then guess what? We get more back. And don't you want to get some gratitude back? Do you ever feel like you haven't been appreciated? Well, guess what? Maybe go out and start appreciating, and you'll get some appreciation back. You know, just saying. So, let's see. How do we get into gratitude? Those are some good questions. I have a couple things for you. But first of all, I want to share with you quickly about a really cool science experiment that I learned about just this week studying gratitude. They took these kids, they took 36 kids years and years ago, and they each placed them in different rooms by themselves, and they had a paper plate, and they had 2 marshmallows on each of the plates. And the man came in and sat down with them and said, hey, guess what? If you sit here and wait for me, I'm going to step out, and when I step out, I'm going to come back in, and if you wait the whole time while I step out, then when I come back, you can eat both of these marshmallows. But I'm going to leave this bell here, and it was a little buzzer. If you sit here and you cannot wait for me by the time I get back, then you can ring this bell. If you're just very, very impatient and can't wait for me, then I will come back, and then you can eat 1 marshmallow. Not 2, but 1. So the kids who would wait, they were 4-year-olds, by the way, the kids who would actually be left alone for just a few minutes, if they were waiting for the man to come back, and he was gone maybe 5 minutes total, if they waited for him when he came back, they got to eat 2 marshmallows. But if they were impatient and they hit the button and went ahead and said, hey, come back now, and they only got to eat one. And so they were told this up front, but they were not told how long the guy would be gone. So they could have thought in their minds, oh, this could be a year, this could be a month, you know, different things can happen in your mind, right? So these kids sat down and they were all they had their marshmallows in front of them. So they were looking at these marshmallows. And it's interesting, some of them actually couldn't wait and hit the button. And some of them waited and were able to get 2 marshmallows. These are, again, this is 4-year-olds. We're not talking about adults. We're talking about 4 years old. So this is major, awesome willpower. And I think it's really interesting that the pattern of those who waited was very, very similar, because they had cameras on all these rooms watching. They had focused people watching from the outside and mirrors watching on the outside. And one thing in common with every single person, every single child that actually could have the willpower to wait, is they literally changed their focus. When they were sitting at this table, it was a plate in front of them with 2 marshmallows. The kids who couldn't wait stared at the marshmallows. They just sat there and stared. Sometimes they looked around a few minutes and maybe got up, sat down, looked at the door, kept on looking and focusing on the marshmallows. All the kids who were able to have the discipline to wait for the guy, you know what they did? They turned away. They literally were like, and they made a new choice to think about something else. Now, what's really cool is they followed these kids who were able to wait and get their 2 marshmallows. And they found out another pattern was also interesting about all of these kids that they followed for the next 20, 30 years. And all of them had better scores in high school, better scores in college, had better jobs, had better marriages, had a happier family life. They had the willpower to have a different focus. And I think that's really, really important, because have you ever had a kind of a crappy day or weird stuff happen in your life, and everyone says like, oh, have gratitude, think about all the things you're thankful for. And sometimes it's a lot easier to say that than to actually do that. And so what I'm telling you is, what you focus on, you make room for. Where energy goes, energy flows. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And on a neuroscience level, when we focus on other things outside of what's negative and bad and fearful, we actually have neuroplasticity in the dendrites and in the mind, that actually everything that fires together wires together. And so practicing gratitude is really, really big, because as you practice it, your brain can actually be trained to focus and see and have perception of different things. Once you practice and practice and practice, looking at, thinking about, writing down, talking about all the good things and all the great things that are going on in your life, instead of all the bad things, all the mean people, all the bad things that have happened, all the stupid things, the traffic, you know, whatever, the day-to-day things. When you focus on those things, not only are the negativity a sound and a vibration that goes into the biofield, that goes through the heart and out into the biofield, and so you get more complications. Or you could think of those things that are positive and good. You know, the scripture talks about think on these things that are beautiful, positive, good, happy, good news, all those things. This is Philippians. So when we practice positivity, when we practice gratitude, the neuroplasticity in the brain will actually reconnect. Dendrites reform and trees grow within the brain where they reconnect, and your brain will be on autopilot to actually see and feel and be in gratitude, instead of just that autopilot of the past, of negativity, bad things, looking for, you know, those patterns of negativity. So the first thing I'm going to say to you is to change your mind, to remind. It says transform yourself by the renewing of your mind. When you can take time to renew your mind, how do we do that? We replace it. And so the scriptures say we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of our God and the truth. And we take captive every imagination and we make it obedient to Christ. And how do we make it obedient? We replace it. We turn around. We look at the things that are positive. We focus on those things. And even think about Moses in the scriptures, what he stood before he became. When he looked at God and he was face to face with God and embraced him by looking at him, what you look on, what you stand before, you become. So if you can look in the face of God, if you can remember God in you fully, then you will start to radiate and you will start to be a new vibe and a new sound and a new light that's catchy. And you'll not only have the hormones to back it up of the oxytocin and the gratitude and the life and the wonderful happy joy feelings, but you'll also attract more, which will just generate more, which will generate more, and it'll make it bigger, 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 and you guys can practice this. Notice that we don't have to practice being negative. When's the last time you practiced being negative? But we can practice gratitude. We could practice thankfulness. We could practice appreciation. And we can do this in our families, with our children, with our job. Just find the little small things, even the smallest things, and start looking at those things and focusing on those things. And then, again, we start radiating happiness and those things. So number one, I'm going to say, to shift that mindset and to get that, to be able to walk into that gratitude and have the science of the gratitude, number one, let's replace our thoughts. Okay, practice replacing your thoughts. Practice positivity. That is a number one thing that I'm going to tell you. Number two, let's talk about getting a gratitude journal. If you're not thinking about it in your mind, then maybe get a book and like just write down, let's say 5 to 10 things a day. And if you find yourself having an extra crazy day, you might want to sit down and say, okay, you know what? My mind is somehow spiraling towards negativity in the past, cancel. And so I'm going to forcefully and on purpose, with intention, write down a list of 100 things right now of the things that are positive and things that are happy and things that I'm going to focus my brain and my dendrites and my biofield and my thought process and my energy all on positivity. And you will see that. So number one, practice positivity by replacing. Number two, practice positivity by writing it down in a journal. A lot of times just the kinetics of thinking about it, saying it, and writing it, then your brain not only thinks it and writes it, but it sees itself write it, and there's more kinetic things going on here on an energetic level. So write it down. Number three, stay present. Practice presence. What does that mean? The word presence is present. And so when we are present, we are here and we are in the moment of now. Stress, by far, is usually because we're in the past or in the future. Thinking about all the things that could happen. Thinking about the bad things that happened in the past. Tallying up what things could go wrong based on our experience from the past. Tallying up and logically doing an outcome of what bad things could happen based on what experiences we had in the past. So being present and being fully present and practicing being here and now and in the moment is huge, because when you're here and when you celebrate and practice positivity of what you're doing now and here, this is huge. This is awesome. And it's really a good practice. Number four, diet's really big. Sugar and bad food has a tendency to cause you to go up and down on different mood swings chemically. And so I'm going to encourage you to not only get sunshine and take walks and get exercise, but also let's eat some green food. Let's eat something that's alive and positive and helpful to you. And then lastly, number five, let's talk about essential oils. Becky brought up present time. I'm going to give you a few of my favorites. Present time, of course, is definitely one of my favorites. Great for when you're traveling too, if you got to get in different time zones, but this will really help you practice presence. Of course, gratitude. I mean, we're talking about gratitude, so I can't say enough about gratitude. That's what the whole subject is about. This is one of my very, very favorite oils. Gratitude. Sometimes awaken and or clarity for me helps me to be able to refocus and remember and remind, just supporting my thoughts to go exactly where I choose them to go with discipline and with practice. And so number 1, replace and practice replacing. Number 2, gratitude journal, like writing it down and seeing yourself write it down. Make lists every day if you have to, and you can even get your kids involved in this. It's really fun. Number 3, stay present. Use present time. Number 4, diet, exercise, vitamin D, sunshine, nature, all those things will help. And number 5, essential oils. So again, there are way more essential oils than this, but all of these oils have very, very high frequency. They are alive, and they are the blood of a plant, and so they are alive, and super, super helpful. I love, actually, Believe is my very, very favorite, and I put this on before I started. Abundance is another one. There's a lot of great ones. Frankincense. All of those you can use in your spiritual practice and or in your physical practice. And so I hope this has helped you guys. For more information on specifics of any of this, please go to my YouTube. I have an Instagram. I have YouTube. I have a group called Divine Science and the Human Body. I'm a naturopathic doctor, but I'm also a minister. So I like learning and understanding the science behind the spirit and how they go and how they're married together. I have tons of videos there that are kind of a little more private. And then I have my YouTube and Instagram. I have Twitter, Facebook. Apparently my Facebook friends only hold 5,000 at a time, but you can hit that follow button, and I do videos all the time, and so you guys can catch up on that too. But thank you, Becky, for this awesome opportunity to hang out with you guys today in the season of thanks and in the month of Thanksgiving. I bless all of you. I send all of you light and love. Send me light and love, and we'll just do this biofield exchange. As a matter of fact, right now, across the world, starting at 12, they were doing an experiment of sending light and love and peace all around the world. And so I thought it was interesting that right at noon, I'm teaching on gratitude and peace and love and all these things. And across the world, they're doing a scientific experiment right now on sending light, love, and gratitude to the world. So, woohoo, we're in the good time. All right, I love you guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.